This is my Xtreme One Chunk Iron Man, chunk fill, and I am locked to Edgeville. The only way to escape, complete every possible task in the area. While most tasks seem doable and only slightly grindy, one thing always becomes an issue. I need 5 million gold to unlock the Edgeville respawn point, which means I have to make 5 million GP without leaving Edgeville. This will be the hardest problem I've ever had to solve. Common monster drops aren't the solution, since combat is pretty much all I've done up to this point. I need to explore alternative methods, and for this I need the tools. So here we are down in the dungeons, and the reason for that is we can get an iron axe from the skeletons at a 1 in 64. They shouldn't be too much of a problem, so let's get to it. 28 KC in, and an iron scimitar. I think this would have been an improvement over the iron mace, so a useless drop, but an interesting one. Surprisingly, they're still hitting quite hard. Food is still required, and there we go. Kill number 88, and that is the iron axe. So a little past the drop rate, but that is 3 skills, being woodcutting, fletching, and firemaking unlocked. So since I haven't needed the items, I don't actually have a knife or a tinderbox in the bank, but lucky for me, they are both stocked in the general store. There is the knife and the tinderbox obtained, and there's only one more thing needed to be done before we're ready to get chopping, and that of course is the fashion scape. I'm thinking of going for the classic lederhosen outfit, since I can't grab lumberjack or anything like that, and we're ready. So with the iron axe upgrade obtained and this steel axe upgrade already in the bank, there isn't much else to say apart from let's get over to those trees. This might take a while, so I think it's worth giving a brief overview of the trees available. With Edgeville being so abundantly green, there is a decent variety to choose from. Lots of regular trees, a good amount close to a bank, so that's convenient. As for oaks, shockingly, there is only a singular one over the river and way down, so that could be an issue, but it's a problem for future me. With the willows, there are 2, but there is one on either side of the river, so camping just one seems like the best option, probably the one by the bank. And finally, not requiring much introduction, there are the 2 yew trees just south of the bank. I think I'm going to become very friendly with those 2 as I progress, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So for the regular trees, not going to be very AFK, but as I said, just past the furnace area, there is a decent amount, and it's close to a bank, so if I feel like stacking up some, and also to save any bows so I can sell them off for some GP later on. And that is the first tree down. Feels very strange doing something other than combat, as that's pretty much all I've done so far. And there is level 2 woodcutting, so let's speedrun these levels a little. Level 3, 4, 5, 6, and look at all those orbs respawning. So happy I don't have to wait for a single one. 7, and with a full inventory now, let's spark the agony of lighting the first few logs. And that was actually not bad. On to log number 2. That took forever. Level 2 firemaking. 3, 4, 5, 10. Nothing really unlocked, but it feels nice to be getting some levels that don't take multiple hours for a singular one. There is 10 woodcutting, and what does that unlock? Light jungle. Yeah, okay, that is not relevant. I will go grab my steel axe upgrade from the bank. It's just so fast at the minute, I don't feel a need just yet. Also, I think I'm probably already getting up there with chopping the most normal trees in the Edgeville area, because realistically, who use this spot to get up their woodcutting? It's not a bad spot at all, just very overlooked. With this log, that should be the end of firemaking using regular logs. so the last 40 XP drop for a good while at least, since now I can burn the oak logs. And I think I'll take the chance to go and grab the steel axe obtained from the thugs in the last episode. So on to the fletching part of regular trees now. Level 15 wood cutting, so now oak trees can be chopped. However, still stuck here a while yet with the fletching. It's so slow to get started with fletching, it's crazy. I calculated it and it takes roughly 358 regular logs, and I'm only on 12. So let's see how high the woodcutting level gets in comparison before I can move over to the oaks. At level 18 woodcutting, and finally clicked on the level up unlocks, and a juicy selection relevant to me here. Obviously the oak logs are 15, but also the black axe. I don't have it yet, but for now that is a battle for future me yet again. And also the log canoe unlocked at level 12, so obviously the range of travel increases at higher levels, but it does pose a question: do I make the locations of travel as rollable chunks? Let me know in the comments what you think, but right now I'm erring on not allowing it since it takes away from the massive grind around. Also, while you're there commenting, a whopping 88.5% of you aren't subscribed, so consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell also, so you don't miss any uploads. Also, a like helps a lot too, thanks. Level 20 woodcutting, 21 unlocks the mithril axe, which is very much not available in this chunk. So I'm at 28 woodcutting, and that seems to be the correct amount of logs for 15 fletching. So no more regular trees required. Now it's time to process the 400 regular logs into fletching things. Level 2 fletching, and it's about as slow as I expected it to be. 3 and bronze javelins unlocked. I don't think I've ever known anyone making a bronze javelin. There is level 5 fletching, and that makes it so I can upgrade from arrow shafts up to the unstrung short bows. They might sell for a bit later on, so it's a definite improvement. And there is level 10. So if we click on the unlocks, there is the short bows at level 5 and the long bows at level 10. So a bit of an XP per hour bump, definitely. And with this log, we have reached level 15 fletching. This means I can process oak logs into arrow shafts, which might be the best thing to do with logs since the tree is so far away from the bank. But first, let's just finish up these last few logs and then we can head over there. So here we are at the other end in a very not travelled corner of this chunk, at the oak tree. So first few logs already chopped, not too bad with the steel axe surprisingly. So let's just grind up to the level 20 fletching so I can make bows, then we can test a few of the methods. There is 30 wood cutting. The ability to chop willow logs is unlocked, but same as the oak trees, not useful as of yet. And 20 fletching, so now the choices appear. I can keep making arrow shafts while the tree is respawning, or I can go to the bank and make bows as I travel. 1 agility might affect this a little. Maybe walk to the bank and then run back would be the better of the options, especially since I don't have access to arrowheads or even feathers. It might be a no-brainer. Oh, this actually worked out perfectly. I just finished up fletching all the logs as I stepped into the bank. This is definitely the way to go. So, since a lot of the playtime has been in the wilderness side of the Edgeville dungeon, the time now will actually allow me to collect a fair amount of the random event collection logs, which will be nice, especially for lamps later on. I'm actually still a bit undecided on what to lamp. I'm still lamping Slayer, but at some point I might swap over to Agility. As long as I don't hit 15 agility, I don't unlock any extra content. And that will help with the run regen in the future. On our little walk, and there is 25 fletching, which means I can now use oak logs to their full potential with fletching, giving 25 XP per log now with the oak longbows. I think it's time to change it up now. Going to whack out the 30 firemaking quick, and done. Burning willow logs is now a possibility with the 30 firemaking complete. Following up that, there is 30 fletching. I actually just collected some oaks in the bank for a more relaxed, reclined experience. Even if I don't have enough, I can just go onto the willows now and make the willow logs into arrow shafts instead, so I don't have to go all the way to the other side of the chunk once again. Boom! 35 fletching, willow short bows unlocked. So let's go see the speed of chopping the willow tree now. Up to 43 woodcutting, so not a bad level to start on the willows. The only concern is the steel axe, and as I mentioned earlier, there is one more axe upgrade available in this chunk, which is the black axe obtained from black demons. Fitting. Looking at some of the runes I have left over, I have roughly 400 wind or earth strikes, so let's see if we can spoon that 1 in 64 black axe drop from the black demons, like I spooned the black sword drop in episode 1. I'm still also looking for the rune med helm or the rune chain body drops too, so that might be a bonus from doing this too. First kill, can I get lucky? No. Coins. Very nice, not having to manually cast makes it a lot lower effort. Not AFK since it is the wilderness after all. Kill number 2 incoming, and chaos runes might be handy to prolong the kills a little. Okay, I can't quite believe it. Kill number 4 was a spoon. There it is, the black axe. So lucky, but only at black demons apparently. I was going to try flinching them to see if it was any better after I'd used up my runes. In fact, I am going to come back just to get the full experience and try flinching it up. It will probably be slower, but I want to see if it's viable. Here we are, all set up for flinching with my not so overpowered gear. I'll see how long it takes. My only concern is how fast the HP regens actually. It's been a minute and a bit, the HP is steadily going down, but I don't trust this guy. Might be scouting out the area, so going to abort mission. But with how the damage was going, I'd expect it to be roughly a 10-minute kill with flinching, compared to the roughly 1 minute with magic. But the rune collection would probably still make the melee faster in the long run. That was the first time I've actually seen anyone not just charging air orbs. Spooky. Back in the woodcutting gear with the new shiny axe, and with a bit of wicking, the black axe is 12.5% better than the steel axe. So with the hours I need to woodcut, this upgrade has saved me at least 30 to 40 hours, which is actually a massive change in the grand scheme of things, especially if I have to go over the initial goal. I realised I flew past a significant level. At 42 woodcutting, that unlocks the stable dugout canoe, which isn't a chunk task, but it now allows me to travel from Edgeville to Lumbridge and vice versa if it is unlocked. So this will be a much better travel method from Lumbridge if I die. Hopefully not, but it's an option either way. 45 woodcutting, 50, 55, 57 woodcutting, and that unlocks the Whacker Canoe, which is a hard diary task. So let's go and get that completed now. The task is to make one, not travel in one, so I'm just gonna have to leave it to despawn. But there is a chunk task completed. Incoming with 40 fletching, which unlocks the willow longbows. Either way, the grind isn't over yet, and I'm pretty close to 60 woodcutting. I can now chop yew trees. So let's go and chop at least one down. I don't know about you, but these yews just feel iconic. I can't think of Edgeville without thinking of these majestic brown giants standing tall. And there we go. The yew logs obtained, and that is another chunk task complete. Here we are again at the willows. I've been gathering up the logs for a bit now, and I need 2,893 willow logs to springboard all the way up to 60 firemaking, and I do just have enough. All I need now is a decent place to make the lines. Oh, fire. This seems decent. Update. North of the bank didn't work out so well. South of the bank was very smooth. 2 straight lines of 28. For some reason, I have always found firemaking lines very peaceful and relaxing. So now it's time to sit back and enjoy. Second mystery box on the account, and can it be anything useful? Just a quick reminder, I would benefit from either the steel plate body or mithril scimitar and a singular boot. Perfect. Gotta bank that to treasure it forever. And back to the firemaking. And there is 60 firemaking. Got a yew log in my invent and set that ablaze, and that is another chunk task complete. Not bad at all in comparison to what is to come, I think. But that is the firemaking completely done for this chunk. This is the log situation right now, a bit dire, so time to build them up again. I worked out I need roughly 10,000 willow logs before I can even start on the yew short bows. So let's go grind it out in true chunker fashion. There is 65 wood cutting, not completely on willow trees. When I have been needing to focus up on something else, then I do hop over to the yews for the 90-second AFK time. And I know I'll have to spend a long time over there in the future anyways. Might as well chip away at it while I can't focus up. And there's the funny number, 69 woodcutting, but now woodcutting is actually my highest skill, higher than any of the combat stats, which is a bit crazy. 70 woodcutting, there we go, 1 million woodcutting XP. First 7-digit skill, I'm about 2/3 of the way through the willow log gathering, and then I can get onto the yews where they will sell for a decent amount more money, and obviously money is very necessary to get out of this chunk. Willow longbows just aren't going to cut it, sadly. This is actually the first fishing random on the account ever. So this is a level 7 fishing, if memory serves me right. Might not be the best idea with the fishing spots in Barbarian Village, but I can't say no to that free XP. And just hit 75 wood cutting, so that gives the option to chop magic trees when we unlock them. So possible at MSB in the future, but I think the closest magic tree is actually at Al-Kharid or Ardone, to be honest. So not the near future, sadly. But more importantly, with these last few willow logs, that is 10,000 willow logs banked, and already 1,500 yew logs, which is a good amount for the future. Now it's once again time to process resources, but first I feel like this is getting a bit monotonous. There are a few miscellaneous tasks that vary in length, but I'd really like to knock them out right now. It will at least streamline the remaining tasks for the chunk. First one I'm going to do is an easy one, a wilderness easy task. Collect 5 red spider's eggs. So 3, 4, 5, and done. Task complete, on to the next. So this one is a bit more RNG dependent, which is to smelt a bronze bar. So the copper isn't an issue. I already got like 233 of them from the men killing. The issue is the tin, and that's why we're at zombies. So there's 3 different leveled zombies, 13, 18 and 24 combat. All 3 of them have different drop tables. The only one that drops tin ore is the level 24 at a 1 in 1 to 8, and these here are the level 18s, so I'll have to find the 24s somewhere. Okay, so it turns out they're in this little alcove here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. As I said, the drop is a 1 in 1 to 8, and I did not bring a weapon. Yes. I feel like I need to go grab one, because fist fighting a zombie doesn't seem like a good time, unless we get lucky here. Oh, that's a long death animation. No. Okay, let's go grab a weapon and then we'll get killing. That's an interesting drop. 7 fishing bait in 1. This will definitely help out with fishing if I do unlock the barbarian village. The only way I thought I could get bait was from the men, one at a time, like Hannibal. Although, come to think of it, I don't think I have access to a fishing rod, so actually this has become completely irrelevant. Right, so this task might have brought up the question in your head, why isn't further smithing a task? And that is because this can't be classed as a primary training method, with this being a 1 in 1 to 8 drop, and even though I can get a pickaxe from clue scrolls, it isn't chunk specific, so that also rules that out. Unless I got lucky with that clue last episode, or unlucky, it depends how you want to see it. Back again, and I just hit 69 strength, funny number, but I didn't think it was too relevant until I started to hit 10s. So that is the first time with melee, at least, that I can hit double digits, and it is very satisfying when they pop up. Anyway, I'm at roughly 85 kill count and no ore drop in sight as of yet. They are hitting a bit on me, but nothing rat meat won't fix up. Back again, and at 209 KC, I got it, the tin ore. I don't know why I always seem to go dry on the single item drops, but there we are. Now it's time to head back up to the surface and use the furnace, very conveniently right next to the bank to take off another chunk task. Okay, so where are they? Here they are. Grab 1 copper ore out of the bank and over to the furnace, and with this bronze bar forged, that is another chunk task complete. That was a decent amount of time and work for a singular bronze bar, even though I think the skeletons drop them anyway. Either way, on to the next task. This is a task I have been dreading, which is 40 thieving to pickpocket a guard. In contrast to firemaking, I find thieving extremely aggravating. I think it's just the chance of failing that just gets to me. I remember way back in 2015 when I just got so frustrated with Pyramid Blunder, I had to take a break every 30 minutes or so. Hopefully, I have grown more accepting with time. Many failures later, and there is level 2 thieving, level 5. Quick intermission with a second fishing random. What level does this get me? Level 10. Very nice. Unlocking herrings. So for some reason I have to change the left click option on each man individually. Frustrating. Missed it, but level 10. 15 thieving, 20 thieving, and does that unlock anything? Silk stalls. I wish I had access to them, but imagine how OP cake stalls would be to me. If only. 30 thieving. My banked food situation is getting a bit low from all the constant damage. I've started to alternate a bit by letting my HP regen while chopping some yew trees. But we're almost halfway to 40. 35 thieving. And with this pickpocket, there is 40 thieving. So let's head straight to a guard, or victim, I choose you, and success. There is another chunk task. Pickpocket a guard completed. So happy that one's done. There is only one more task that I could count as miscellaneous. Can you guess what it is? This task requires prep, a lot of prep, and that is 58 cooking to cook a Pitta bread. A bit useless since I can't get any decent food from it, but chunk task it is. So just hit 70 strength and I feel like my life is going to be in this alcove for a decent amount of time. It has been a while, but with this inventory I have hit 3,000 rat meat, which still isn't enough for the goal. But while I'm talking about the goal, I've worked out there are 3 ways I can complete this. First, solely with rat meat, which would require killing just over 7,000 rats. Option 2 is doing it solely by nettle tea, which would take just over 4,000 cups of tea. Seems faster, but I don't have the balls, so I'd have ended up with next to no food for the future grinds. But also, I can burn that all the way up to level 54, so that would probably take longer anyway. Option 3, which is a combination of the two, the best way to do this would be to use rat meat up to 54 cooking, so around 4,500 of them, and then switch to the nettle tea from the 54 to 58, which would speed it up for the end and give a bit of a change up, which at this point would be much appreciated. So option 3 it is. Coming in with 62 attack, and 80 combat, and that should be the last combat level achieved on this not so mini goal. I promise the cooking in the cooking grind is coming soon. This is the last inventory of rat meat required at 3,721 rat meat. I've already gathered up the nettles and bought up to 300 bowls. Hopefully that's an okay amount to do it with, so let's get cooking. Starting on 40 cooking, so the plan is to start out with the rat meat. Hopefully the XP an hour isn't too bad, at least with the processing part of it. If I worked out the XP with the gathering, I'd rather not know, to be honest. The thing that has dawned on me, if the chunk picker hates me and it beelines me straight over to the cooking guild without unlocking the wheat field in the Grand Exchange chunk, then this could be the method all the way to 99 cooking. That would only be 2 chunk rolls away, which is a bit scary. 42 cooking, and I was a little worried about running out of run energy and having to walk, but even with the 1 agility, it regens fast enough, it isn't an issue. Also, XP an hour is coming out at roughly 20,000 XP an hour, so not too bad considering it's a level 1 cooking method. 44 cooking, and that unlocks nothing of use, but something did occur to me that might make this method a little faster, and that would be to cook the meat on a fire if I make one just outside the bank. So let's set it up. Hopefully it lasts a full invent before the fire burns out. There is 45 cooking, and that unlocks swordfish and meat pizzas apparently. If only. But also you may notice I'm back cooking at the range. My brilliant idea was more effort than it was worth. The fire lasted about 1 inventory, and having to remake the fire every time just made it so it was roughly the same XP rate anyway. This is the first time I actually have over 1,000 food available. Before this, I typically kept it at a few hundred just for emergencies. 47 cooking and the ability to cook fish pies. 50 cooking, and that is the 8th 50 plus skill on this account. 52 cooking, which means only 2 more levels before it's time to change it up to the nettle teas. Final inventory of rat meats coming in and should hit the level. We did. So 54 cooking and nettle teas no longer burn, although that does not pop up in the level up message. I wonder why. So obscure. Time to test out the best way to cook the nettle teas and also to prepare them. So I've filled up the 300 bowls with water already just from the house, and my thinking is fill the bowls up, then I can just put the nettles into the water in the bank and then go cook them up. I've just got to make sure I don't drink the nettle water by accident. Wow, they look burnt, but that is the first nettle tea on the account, and they give 52.5 XP each, which is very nice. Not sure which way is faster, but this is more satisfying with the bigger number. And that's all that counts really, if you think about it. So I have refined the method. Cook the tea, empty them out by spam clicking on the last one in the inventory. Fill the bowls up at the sink, not the well, since you need a bucket to get water from the well. Bank the water bowls and then repeat. When I run out of nettle water, just put all the nettles in at once, and that's it. 56 cooking, 57. As I'm closing in on the goal, I realise I don't have a pot of flour for my pita bread. I only need one, as it's impossible to burn pita bread at 58 cooking, but the only way I can get a pot of flour is from the imps that spawn in the chunk at a 1 in 64. It's time for a quick nettle tea fun fact. Alongside healing 3 HP each, they also restore 5% run energy. Unfortunately for this grind, even though you can drink them at full HP, if it doesn't heal HP, then it does not restore the run energy, making them even more useless in most situations. Anyway, back to 58 cooking. So now it's time to grab a pot of flour from the imps. I can't go that dry, right? I've got 32 MKC before this to grab the blue wizard hat. Didn't see it in that either. This is kill number 200 coming up. I don't know why I go so dry for single items, and I got it exactly on 200. Pot of flour obtained, so I can finally get this task done. Mix with the water, make sure I don't select the wrong thing. Pitta dough obtained, and let's cook it up. And done. That is one more chunk task off the list. Took a fair bit longer than I thought, that one. Not gonna lie. In the downtime, I still have actually been cutting yew logs, so I actually have all the logs to get all the way up to level 72 fletching for that chunk task. So it's time to process them all, starting off with the 10,000 willow longbows. 41 fletching, 45, 48 incoming, level 50 fletching, 55 fletching, 57, which would unlock the maple shield if I had maple logs. Next unlock is the yew bows. With this inventory, that is halfway through the willow logs. 60 fletching, this is 65 fletching, so that is the yew short bows unlocked. This could be a very nice XP bump. Only 8,000 logs left until I hit the milestone of 72 fletching. 66, 67, 68, 69 fletching. That actually unlocks the yew crossbow stock, which might be relevant later on for the rune crossbow. 70 fletching, and that is yew longbow fletching unlocked. 2 levels to go. 72 fletching obtained. So that unlocks the ability to make a yew shield. The last few levels weren't bad at all, since the yew longbows average around 130k XP an hour roughly. But that is a yew shield obtained and a fletching chunk task completed. It is also a best in slot shield, so it's actually 2 chunk tasks completed. Its defenses aren't as good as the mithril shield, but it doesn't give any negative magic attack bonus, which might actually come in handy in some situations. I did overshoot the goal a little with view logs, but as I said, they're good GP for the chunk. There is one more chunk task I want to complete, and that is the minor GP task, which is changing my gravestone for 200,000 coins. So let's grab all the unstrung bows out of the bank and head over to the general store and see what they go for. I've already got 67,000 gold in the bank already from random monster drops, so let's bump that number up a little bit. My plan is to sell 5 of each bow per world. Some of the stacks will get used up faster, but I'm just going to drop the money that I have in my inventory on the ground quickly to see what 5 of everything sells for. 2,500 gold per world hop. That is not bad at all, so this shouldn't take too long at all. First milestone incoming, and that is the first time I have a white cash stack. Very satisfying for the small amount of time I'll have it. That should be the last one, and 201,000 gold on the account. So let's head straight over to Death's Domain before I get too attached to purchase the Angel Gravestone from Death himself. And there it is. I'm poor again. But that is a chunk task completed. There were so many warning notifications when trying to buy this thing. It was crazy because I don't think they really want you to buy it since it's pretty pointless at this stage. But anyway, it's obtained. Now, it wouldn't be an Edgeville chunk video without at least trying to get one O-ball kill. From my equipment and bare inventory, it's obviously going to be a red X method kind of day. So down the rock slide I go, and he's down. 4th O-ball kill on the account. And what's the drop going to be? Hopefully anything rune. Nope, 50 big bones. What even is that drop? With over 250 levels gained this episode and only the O-ball and 5 million GP tasks left, the end of this singular chunk saga is getting closer and closer. Make sure to give this episode a like if you enjoyed it, and give your opinion on if the canoes should be allowed with the chunk rolling by commenting below. And I'll see you next time for some O-ball madness.